What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles with the newly released Shadow Rhyperior in the Open Great League in this triple Shadow team with Venusaur in the lead and Steelix as the safe swap. I know Steelix isn't spicy and it's actually very annoying to deal with, but it's there to bait out any of Rhyperior's hardest counters so that Rhyperior has the best opportunity to sweep in the endgame. Because the biggest issue with Rhyperior is that it just gets obliterated by so many common Pokemon, being double weak to both water and grass, as well as being weak to fighting, ice, ground and steel, although steel's a bit less of an issue. I wasn't sure whether to run Smackdown or Mud Slap, and with the grass type lead, maybe Smackdown would have made a little bit more sense for the coverage, but the Mud Slap damage against Pokemon like Alolan Sandslash, which my team is pretty weak to, as well as Bastiodon and Clodsire really appealed to me. With that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which more attack weighted Pokemon would you like to see learn Breaking Swipe next season? Obviously Steelix, very annoying Pokemon to deal with when it's running Breaking Swipe, especially in the Open Ultra League, but a lot of the Glacier Pokemon actually are very fun to play when they're running Breaking Swipe, so let me know in the comment section down below. And with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle lead, Shadow Venusaur into Noctowl. So not a great lead, obviously going to safe swap into my Shadow Steelix, and here we bait out the Medicham. Now this is exactly what I want from this team. Steelix is at least going to force the opponent to throw their energy to take us out. They won't be able to counter Farmer's Down as I will reach another Breaking Swipe. The opponent goes for Dynamic Punch, that does take us out even with the debuff, but this is just going to be an Ice Punch, and because they are debuffed, Venusaur can actually live this reasonably comfortably, so I'm going to let that go through and throw my Charge Move just before they make it to the next Ice Punch here. Frenzy Plant obviously will be enough damage to take them out, but they actually shield, so I'm going to use my shield. I will now be able to Vine Whip farm them down, and I'll come out with a Sludge Bomb loaded to throw straight away into the Noctowl if it comes back in, which it does, so this should be dealing some nice damage. We swap into Rhyperior, and the opponent doesn't check our fast move. They swap into Lantern, and this is absolutely perfect for us. We're running Mud Slap, we're dealing big damage there. We go for the Breaking Swipe. We have to shield this up as this is double super effective. Doesn't matter that we debuff them, that would probably still take us out. We get the Mud Slap farm down and we make it to another Breaking Swipe before the opponent makes it to a Shadow Ball. This grabs the final shield from the opponent, and because of the debuff we will now be able to live a Shadow Ball from this range, and I will also be able to make it to a superpower in time, and this will be enough damage from this range to take out the Noctowl, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Shadow Venusaur into Bastiodon. Now, this is a okay matchup. I know that obviously my Shadow Rhyperior is going to have a much better matchup, so I'm going to bank a Frenzy Plant, then swap into Steelix, and once again we bait out the counter user in defense from the Deoxys. Now this is actually a really awkward matchup for the opponent here because all their charge moves are resisted. They have to go for Psycho Boost to do any meaningful damage here. The opponent goes for Thunderbolt instead. They don't debuff their attack, but I'm going to be debuffing it with my Breaking Swipe, and you can see why Steelix is kind of annoying to face here. Even though the opponent is running a super effective fast move, they're actually going to be losing this matchup here if they do play it out. So we are going to let this move go through once again. The opponent is going to go for another Thunderbolt. Absolutely fine. They actually swap back into their Bastiodon, which is perfectly fine with me. We're going to come in with the Shadow Rhyperior. Going to let the first move go through. If they do make it to another charge move, I probably will shield that just because we are very low. Stone Edge probably takes us out from this range. Maybe it doesn't quite, but we might as well preserve the health there. And let's see what the opponent's going to come in with. They come in with a Medicham, and we've got quite a lot of energy, so we're going for the Breaking Swipe straight away. This will do some nice damage. We go for one extra Mud Slap, go for a second Breaking Swipe, and this will put the Medicham into the yellow health already. We swap into Venusaur. The opponent tries to catch the charge move there, or make it to a Psycho Boost. Either way, it didn't work out for them, and we make it to the back-to-back Frenzy Plants. The first one grabs the shield. We can safely shield this up, and we will be able to go for that second Frenzy Plant. All shields are down on the opponent's end, and this Frenzy Plant is going to be enough damage to take out the Medicham, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Venusaur into a Shadow Alolan Ninetales. So if they're running Charm, it's actually pretty good. If they're running Powder Snow, they actually core break my entire team, and I honestly don't know what to do up against Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales. Maybe that is a matchup where it probably would be better to run the Smackdown on my Rhyperior, but here we swap, we catch the move onto our Shadow Steelix, and because we're running Psychic Fangs, we do at least get to a charge move that can hit for at least neutral damage a lot faster. Obviously, it's not going to take them out from that range, but I can now shield, and because their defense is debuffed, I will be able to Dragon Tail farm them down, despite Dragon Tail being double resisted. And here we can go for a Psychic Fangs into the Medicham coming back in. Maybe could have gone for that Breaking Swipe, but it doesn't really matter here. We are going to come back in with the Venusaur. I will be able to outpace them to the Frenzy Plant. The opponent makes it to a charge move there. I thought that was a bit early to be an Ice Punch, but I'm going to respect the damage anyways, and I will use my shield. But it ends up being a power-up punch. That's really bad. They will be able to outpace me, but the opponent makes a big mistake. They swap into their Bastodon, and now we can simply take the charge move, fully Mudslap farm them down, and we will come out with a charge move loaded to throw into Medicham. But the opponent is running Flash Cannon. But then we get the Vine Whip farm down, and that allows us to reach a Frenzy Plant in the end game. And Frenzy Plant takes out the Medicham, and we take that game. And that was such a crazy battle there. The roller coaster of emotions that I felt during that battle was absolutely insane. But into next game, we see probably the worst Pokemon for this team, and doesn't make it any better that there's an Azumarill in the back. Obviously, this is what my team is set up for, to bait out Azumarill. Obviously, this is not a matchup we can flip in any way, shape, or form, but I will be able to come in with my Venusaur and farm down the Azu here, and the opponent, because they went for Ice Beam there, they're going to get a massive farm down with their bubbles, but we can get them very low, and after landing 3 Psychic Fangs, it's a very comfortable farm down for the Venusaur here. So the opponent is going to go for a charge move pretty much straight away as we come in with our Venusaur. And we've seen already they are running Ice Beam. It won't take us out, so I'm going to let it go through. That does a lot of damage, but we do at least make it to near a Frenzy Plant. We're going to go for that Frenzy Plant into the Alolan Sandslash, coming back in, and then swap into my Shadow Rhyperior. And this is where the Mudslap damage is very handy. We're going to shield the first move. They probably will make it to 2 charge moves here, which is not ideal for us. I'm going to have to double shield, and if it's a Medicham in the back, it's game over. But it is a Sableye instead, so maybe we've still got a little bit of hope here. We can go for the Breaking Swipe, debuffing their attack. It actually doesn't do that much damage as it is non-stab, and they still make it to a Foul Play before we make it to Breaking Swipe number 2. Foul Play takes us out. They get the Shadow Claw farm down, and unfortunately we lose that game. So GG's to that opponent. Not an awful lot we could have done in that game there, but into the next game we see Defense Form Deoxys. Now what I found is that a lot of them will build up to the back-to-back Psycho boosts here, so we're going to go for a Frenzy Plant just before they get to 10 counters, and then swap into my Shadow Steelix. I'm able to get a Dragon Tail through, as well as catch the resisted Psycho boost onto my Steelix, and the opponent comes in with Rhyperior. So we're going to go for that Breaking Swipe straight away, and that will debuff the attack of the opponent's Rhyperior, and they do make it to a charge move. I can live this very comfortably now, and the opponent is actually going to bait with an Aerial Ace. Not sure why they do that. They make it to another charge move. This should be the Frenzy Plant this time around, which it is. And we're going to go for that Breaking Swipe straight away. Not sure if we live 2 Vine Whips there, but actually it looks like we would have done, and we do get the Dragon Tail farm down. We flip Switch Advantage, although not really necessary since we're going to have to come in with the Venusaur anyways. Shield once. Hopefully we can just Vine Whip farm them down at this point, but the opponent swaps into a Clodsire. We're going for the Frenzy Plant. Should be grabbing a shield here, or it would deal massive damage. We come in with the Rhyperior, and this is a pretty good matchup. We can shield this up. If they bait, that's really bad, but they full send the Earthquake, and now we can just go straight Breaking Swipe in this matchup. The first one is going to go unshielded by the opponent. That is sort of the correct play there, but I can just fully Mudslap, farm them down, and the opponent had just fully given up, and we're able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we're going to see Shadow Venusaur into another Alolan Sandslash. So not ideal. Once again, going to save swap into my Shadow Steelix. This time the opponent stays in. I'm going to go for a probably going to go for the drill run there. They do. That does big damage. And now they swap into a Azumarill. So very likely the same team that we faced already. We didn't have a great time up against that team here, but let's see if we can do anything different in this battle. We go for the double Psychic Fangs, although the opponent is going to be able to fully bubble farm me down. Not ideal for us, but we do leave the Azumarill with more health to farm down with our Shadow Venusaur. Ice Beam does big damage, but we can shield the next one and hopefully come out of this matchup with nearly 2 Frenzy Plants loaded, which obviously will be resisted by the Alolan Sandslash, but it still does a ton of damage. So we go for the first one. Do we have enough health to survive the Shadow Claw damage there? It looks like we do as we swap into our Shadow Rhyperior. We bank the Frenzy Plant, and it is once again a Sableye in the back, but we do at least have a shield in the this matchup. We go for the breaking swipe. That debuffs their attack. We're going to shield anyways, as we kind of have to. I know Alolan Sandslash does have a charge move loaded, but it doesn't matter. If we get the Mudslap farm down, we can come out with a superpower loaded. This will be grabbing the final shield from the opponent, and it is a CMP tie. Now, it just depends. Are they in range for a Shadow Frenzy Plant from Venusaur to take them out here? We have it banked. Does this take out the Alolan Sandslash? Yes, it does, and I'm able to take that game. So despite being hard countered in the lead and even harder countered in the save swap, we're able to take it. But into the next game, we see the opponent save swapping into Ferrothorn. We actually don't have a good response here whatsoever, so I'm going to go for the Sludge Bomb, and then I'm going to try to catch either a Thunder or maybe a Flash Cannon. Not really sure, but the opponent actually goes for Mirror Shot, which, I mean, is still resisted, but probably less ideal for us just because it wastes less of their energy. They're going to go for a Power Whip here, throwing on the CMP tie as I do reach a Breaking Swipe, so good timing by the opponent, also knowing that they would win the CMP tie there. We're now going to shield this up, and I should be able to go for a full Dragon Tail farm down. They make it to a last second charge move. I think this is just a Mirror Shot, so I let it go through. It is the Mirror Shot. And now here they're going to come back in with their Shadow Swampert. Of course, we make it to the potential Earthquake. We're not running it, but the opponent doesn't know that. And we grab a shield from the opponent. Possibly could have gone for Psychic Fangs there, but it doesn't really make a difference. They're probably going to swap out immediately after they get the farm down. And the opponent comes in with a Shadow Gligar. Now, this is really unfortunate. Probably should have stayed in with my Venusaur. Got off a Frenzy Plant first. And now all I have to do is call a bait. Well, I mean, not all I had to do, but my only real play there was to call a bait, and unfortunately, we do incorrectly call it. They fully take me out with the dig, and it's game over for me, unfortunately. So even though I won the lead and the save swap, or in the mid-game matchup there, I do unfortunately lose that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Medicham in the lead, so we're going to stay in this matchup here, and we're going to go for a Frenzy Plant just before they make it to a potential Psychic, and Frenzy Plant is going to grab a shield from the Medicham. Now I'm going to shield as well. Ice Punch won't quite take us out from this range, but it would put us into counter farm down range, which I can't really afford to do because I've got two Pokemon in the back that are very weak to counter. We do CMP tie the next one, so I'm going to use both my shields as well as the opponent, and I will be able to outpace them to the next charge move. I'm going to go one over, throw on the CMP tie once again, and Frenzy Plant will be enough damage to take out the Medicham. But you can see that's actually a fairly close match up there in the two shield scenario, which is quite frustrating. But the opponent comes in with a Alolan Sandslash, they go for the Drill Run, and then they swap into a Lantern. Now I'm actually going to go for Psychic Fangs here instead of the Breaking Swipe because I know that there's no point debuffing their attack. Their Sparks are not going to do much damage in this matchup. The Surf will take me out anyways, so we go for a second Psychic Fangs. The opponent is going to overfarm massively here. I'm actually not sure if they're at the back-to-back moves, but what I'm thinking is that the opponent's going to go for one extra Spark anyways, so I'm actually going to be very risky, come in with my Rhyperior and farm them down before they get off a charge move. Now they're very close to a move on the Sandslash, so I swap out there. The opponent going for the farm down, but they're not able to get there before I make it to a Frenzy Plant, and once again Frenzy Plant takes out the Alolan Sandslash, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Dugong in the lead. Pretty tricky lead matchup here. We will be able to outpace them to the first move, and this is definitely going to grab a shield from the opponent. So we go for the Frenzy Plant there after 7 Vine Whips. We swap after another Vine Whip, catch the charge move. This will be an Icy Wind, which is neutral damage, whereas Drill Run obviously would be super effective, and we bait out the Medicham. So obviously not a great team for us so far, but we are at least playing it well. And the opponent going to go for a charge move here. We should be able to live this. I don't believe it is a Dynamic Punch, and it is just the Ice Punch here. Now I go for a Psychic Fangs. Maybe should have gone for Breaking Swipe. I'm not really sure, but let's see. The opponent lets it go through. Obviously doesn't do much damage, but it will debuff their defense, and maybe that puts them into range where I can just shield once and fully Vine Whip farm them down. We'll have to see. They go for the Ice Punch there, and can we get the full Vine Whip farm down from this range? No, we're not able to do so, so we do go for that Frenzy Plant instead. Frenzy Plant going to be taking out the Medicham, and we do make it to yet another Frenzy Plant up against the Dugong, and now I will be swapping immediately into my Shadow Rhyperior. We're going to have to shield the Icy Wind, of course. That would probably take us out, if not, deal a lot of damage. And now we're going to overfarm. The opponent catches onto Bastiodon, and I thought, I'll undercharge this and just go for a Mudslap farm down. But but I completely forgot they just icy winded me, so now I'm going to have to go for another charge move. Big mistake there. Obviously, if they didn't debuff me, that would have been the perfect play, as I would have got the farm down, come out with a superpower loaded, and then taken out the dugong, but unfortunately, I just forgot about that, and we do end up losing that game. So GG's to that opponent. Into the next game, we see a Shadow Dragonair in the lead. Once again, safe swapping into the Steelix, and of course, there's going to be a Medicham here to hard punish us. But as always, we're going to be able to debuff their attack, and if they're not running Dynamic Punch, I will make it to a second Breaking Swipe before they do get the full counter farm down. So that's fine. We're going to go for that Breaking Swipe here, making sure to throw on the good timing. Breaking Swipe will actually grab a shield from the opponent. Absolutely fine with me, and at this point they're double debuffed as well, so unless they farm to the Psychic, I can tank whatever they throw onto my Shadow Venusaur. So we're going to come in with the Venusaur here, and the opponent is going to go straight for that Ice Punch, so I will let this move go through. Ice Punch doesn't do too much damage now. They swap immediately back into their Shadow Dragonair, so we go for the Sludge Bomb, grabbing the final shield from the opponent, and we come in with our Shadow Rhyperior. Unfortunately for the opponent, they throw on alignment there, so we get a full Mud Slap in for free, and we do make it to that Breaking Swipe a lot faster because of that, and now Breaking Swipe takes out the Shadow Dragonair. The opponent is going to be coming back in with the Medicham, and it is a Carbink in the back, so this is perfect for us. The opponent actually just fully stops attacking here. There's no point in throwing a charge move, it will just waste time. I'm going for the full Mud Slap farm down. I'm able to take out the Carbink, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Shadow Venusaur into Tropius. Now this is a massive core breaker for the team. If I was running the Smackdown on my Shadow Rhyperior, maybe it would be a lot better, but I just realized that Steelix is basically my only answer to the Tropius now, unless we get a massive energy advantage on my Shadow Venusaur, so that is of course going to be the play. The opponent goes for Psychic for some reason, not really sure why, but we're going to go for a Breaking Swipe once again, and this won't really deal enough damage to take them out, but it will get them incredibly low. Actually, we just get the full Dragon Tail farm down there. They come back in with the Tropius. Now, this is still not a great position to be in here, as they will go for an air slash farm down, come out with quite a lot of energy as well. So I'm actually going to try to be smart, come in with my Rhyperior, and then swap, catch the charge move. This should be a Leaf Blade on my Venusaur. It is the Leaf Blade, so that's amazing for me. But they are already at an Aerial Ace there, so I'm going to have to use my shield. They come in with a Bastiodon, and this is just not ideal for me. Of course, Shadow Venusaur going to do a lot of damage in this matchup. What I'd ideally want is to try and force the opponent to throw on the CMP tie, but they're just going to go for the full farm down. I also don't think they're going to shield either, so I do slightly undercharge. Doesn't really matter because we're only going to get like 2 or 3 Mud Slaps in anyways. Stone Edge is resisted. I had to let that go through, but now I need to make it to basically 4 Breaking Swipes here, because Breaking Swipe will not take out the Tropius, and a Leaf Blade obviously will one-shot the Rhyperior, probably from full health as well. So I do just let the Rhyperior go down, and the opponent is able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent. But into the next game, we see a Pidgeot in the lead. Gonna say swap into my Shadow Steelix, and this is where Steelix is just absolutely busted up against a ground-type Pokemon, but they are throwing resisted fast move damage, so I can just safely shield this up. The opponent is going to go for the dig there, go for a second Breaking Swipe, and we'll probably grab a shield at this point, but it doesn't matter. The opponent can go for a dig. They are double debuffed though, so it just won't do that much damage up against the Shadow Steelix, and I will be able to fully Dragon Tail farm them all the way down from this range, and I will come out with a charge move loaded. They do make it to a last second Aerial Ace, but I can safely let this go through. Doesn't do much damage, and the opponent comes in with a Trevenant, so we're going for another Breaking Swipe. Does a decent amount of damage there, and we make it to yet another Breaking Swipe up against the Trevenant. Once again, I don't go for Psychic Fangs there just because they're going to swap out immediately, and the opponent comes in with the Pidgeot. So I'm going to let this move go through. We should resist everything here. The opponent full sends a Brave Bird though, and that does much more damage than I thought it was going to do. We go for a Breaking Swipe, grabbing a shield from the opponent, but at this point, even with the Breaking Swipe, they're able to get the full farm down, and my only win condition here is if they go for a Feather Dance, which for whatever reason they do. They were already 3-stage debuffed in their defense, so it made no sense to go for a Feather Dance there. Frenzy Plant still enough damage to take them out, and all I have to do is make it to another Frenzy Plant up against the Trevenant before they make it to another charge move, and we're able to get there in time, and this will be enough damage from this range, even with the debuff, to take out the Trevenant, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Galvantula in the lead, so not that bad of a matchup. I do swap out straight away, and the opponent comes in with Azumarill. Maybe should have stayed in initially, build up to a Frenzy Plant, and tried to catch a lunge or something, just because Steelix is going to get absolutely destroyed in this matchup anyway, so it doesn't really matter if we're debuffed first. But we go for the Psychic Fangs here, and this is quite nice. The opponent going to go for a charge move, and they are going to full send a Hydro Pump, which does take out the Steelix, but now we can come in with our Shadow Venusaur. The fact that they're running Hydro Pump makes me think that maybe they're not running Ice Beam, so I'm going to let this move go through. Even if it was an Ice Beam, I would let it go through anyways. And now we've got a lot of energy to throw into Galvantula. We're going to bait with a Frenzy Plant, grab a shield that would do a lot of damage anyways, and now we make it to the Sludge Bomb, which would do even more damage, so the opponent does a double shield. Now what I don't want to do is swap and catch a lunge onto my Rhyperior, because then we will be debuffed, but I'm hoping now that I swap into my Rhyperior, the opponent doesn't throw a lunge, and they come in with Galarian Stunfisk. I'm just going straight for the superpower. How much damage does it do? It takes out the Stunfisk, and now I can just safely shield in this matchup. I will be able to make it to a Breaking Swipe before the opponent gets to another lunge, and this Breaking Swipe, even though we're debuffed, will be enough damage from this range to take out the Galvantula, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we see Venusaur into Alola Ninetales. So the opponent is running Powder Snow this time around, and honestly, I had no idea what to do, so I'm going to use my shield. I'm not sure if we live a Weather Ball from full health there, but I wasn't going to risk it. We're going to go for a Frenzy Plant, and this should be grabbing a shield back from the opponent. I might try and catch a move onto my Steelix. I do go for the catch. The opponent holds onto their energy. They do come in with Defense Form Deoxys though, so I do know this is a matchup where we can potentially flip it or just get them incredibly low and, well, basically no attack either, so I can come back in with my Venusaur and then get the farm down. But let's see how we play this out. The opponent actually goes for Psycho Boost here. They're going to go for another Psycho Boost. That does more damage than the Thunderbolt, of course, but now they are fully debuffed in their attack. We go for a Breaking Swipe here, and this won't quite take them out. I'm happy to let this move go through. And the Psycho Boost still does take us out, but we can get a big farm down, come out with a Frenzy Plant loaded. I kind of just have to hope that for whatever reason they throw their energy straight away and don't go for a farm down, and that's exactly what they do. So that's good news for us. Weather Ball takes us out, but can we get the farm down before they make it to 2 more Weather Balls? I just don't think it's likely. They do have quite a lot of energy. They go for the first one, grab my final shield, and they make it to yet another Weather Ball, and this will easily take out the Shadow Rhyperior, and I do unfortunately lose that game. So that's a matchup where if I had Smackdown, maybe we could have just farmed down the Alola Ninetales from that range. But into the next game, a much better lead as we see Greninja. I'm not sure why they're staying in. That's quite an odd choice by the opponent. Clearly must be very weak to Venusaur in the back, so they can't really afford to swap out of this matchup. They go for Night Slash there. That actually does quite a lot of damage, so I will shield here. I will be able to fully Vine Whip farm them down from this range, but the opponent swaps into Clodsire. Now, I'm going to come in with my Shadow Rhyperior, and I feel like this should be a pretty good matchup here. As the opponent goes for the Earthquake, we do use our shield. These Poison Stings are dealing almost no damage whatsoever. We're going to go for the Breaking Swipe, and Breaking Swipe is going to get them very low. We debuff their attack, and I'm thinking with a debuff, we should be able to live an Earthquake from this range, but I was wrong. It takes us out. They flip Switch Advantage, which is not ideal for us. We're now going to come in with our Shadow Steelix, go for the farm down, and let's see what the opponent has in the back. They have a Prinplup of all Pokemon, so such a spicy pick from the opponent there. Definitely didn't expect to see that, but unfortunately for the opponent, unless they're running Hydro Pump, we should be winning this matchup. The opponent swaps back into Greninja. They don't get off the charge move. I'm not really sure why, but we go for the Frenzy Plant there, and this should be an Icy Wind. It will be enough damage to take out the Venusaur, but it doesn't matter. We come in with the Steelix. I didn't realize we actually had a charge move loaded already, but it doesn't matter. Bubble Beam, not going to do much damage. We go for Psychic Fangs. Doesn't really matter which move we go for, but we're able to take out the Prinplup and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Galvantula in the lead once again. So this time around, we will actually stay in with the Shadow Venusaur and then try to catch onto our Shadow Steelix, and we are successful. The opponent going to go for a lunge, which doesn't do much damage. They then come in with a Rhyperior, so that's fine with us. We go for the Breaking Swipe, unfortunately losing CMP. I'm going to let this move go through. Frenzy Plant actually does quite a lot of damage there, and they will just be able to fully Vine Whip farm me down from this range, which is not ideal. So maybe I should have considered shielding, just because I don't want them to come out with a ton of energy. But we do have at least a Frenzy Plant loaded to throw straight away into the Rhyperior as we come back in. Now, this is resisted, but they should be low enough to take them out with the Frenzy Plant, and they come in with a Dugong. Now, this is not ideal for me whatsoever. We're going to go for a Frenzy Plant here. What I should be doing is recognizing that I won't make it to a second Frenzy Plant, so I should be swapping into my Rhyperior, but unfortunately, because I stay in for so long, the opponent is going to be able to make it to multiple charge moves up against my Rhyperior. I don't know why they go for Drill Run there. Icy Wind is also super effective. They go for it again, so very strange here from this opponent. Maybe they're just giving me a potential win condition here, but because I swapped out way too slow, they will make it to another charge move in time, and this will be enough damage to take out the Rhyperior. They come back in with the Galvantula. I want to make it close, so I'm actually going to throw the Sludge Bomb here. Instead of being farmed down, we take out the Galvantula, but unfortunately they do Ice Shard farm us down with the Dugong, and I do lose that game. So GG's to that opponent. Into the next game, we see a mirror lead with the Shadow Venusaurs. This is a bit of a tricky mirror matchup to play out. We are going to shield the first move from the opponent as they are going to full send the Sludge Bomb. So that is good that we shielded. We're now going to go for a Sludge Bomb of our own, and this Sludge Bomb is going to grab a shield from the opponent, and then we're going to try and catch the next Sludge Bomb onto my Shadow Steelix. This is triple resisted, so that's really good for me as the opponent is going to stay in with the Venusaur. I'm just going to shield here. I'm hoping that I can Dragon Tail farm them down, but actually it doesn't look like it, but it doesn't matter. The opponent comes in with their Dugong anyways, so we go for a Breaking Swipe, and this will debuff their attack. Of course, we make it to a second Breaking Swipe. I know this is really boring gameplay, but it's just what we had to do to make Rhyperior work. And you might have seen it in a few battles. We did actually at least hit Veteran with this team, which might not seem like much, but I've been in like as low as the 1800s this season, running absolute nonsense. So it does feel nice to actually finally climb up a little bit and do gain a bit of elo. But here we are going to come in with the Venusaur, go for the Frenzy Plant straight away. I know they had a charge move loaded, so I throw immediately. We take out the Dugong, and they've got a Magna Zone in the back. And now I don't know what I'm doing. I should just swap immediately into my Rhyperior, but we go for a Frenzy Plant. We swap into Rhyperior, and look at the Mud Slap damage. We're able to fully fast move, farm them down, farm down the Venusaur as well, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Defense Form Deoxys in the lead. So once again, going to go for a Frenzy Plant, and then I will try and swap out as they reach their 10th counter, because they do typically throw after they reach the back-to-back Psycho Boosts. And once again, we're able to catch onto my Shadow Steelix. So that is very nice for me. Psycho Boost is resisted. They come in with a Rhyperior, so it might actually be the same team that we saw earlier with the Clodsire in the back. But we're going to let the Frenzy Plant go through, and we can go for a Breaking Swipe here. Now, Breaking Swipe obviously not going to do too much damage, but we should be able to make it to a second Breaking Swipe. Potentially should have gone for one extra Dragon Tail there, but the opponent is going to let it go through, and they do barely get the farm down. Now, I think they're going to blind throw an Aerial Ace here, so I'm actually going to come in very risky, but come in with my Shadow Rhyperior. They do throw immediately, and it is the Aerial Ace, so that's perfect for me. Now we come back in with our Shadow Venusaur. They've actually got quite a lot of energy, so I've got to be very careful in this matchup. They go for the Psycho Boost, and now we're going to go for a Frenzy Plant here, and Frenzy Plant will be grabbing the final shield from the opponent, and the opponent overfarms just slightly too much. We make it to another Frenzy Plant, taking out the Defense Form Deoxys, and they've got Dugong in the back, and we barely make it to a third Frenzy Plant in time, and this will be enough damage to one-shot the Dugong, and we're able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we're going to see a Shadow Venusaur into Shadow Hitmontop. Now this should be a good matchup here, but you're going to see with Triple Axle, they can just fully boost their way through this matchup, and it's not very comfortable whatsoever. So we go for the Frenzy Plant, grabbing a shield from the opponent. You can see counters already doing as much damage as the Vine Whip, if not even more so. They go for that Triple Axle, and now I don't know if I'm going to make it to another Frenzy Plant here. So I go for the Frenzy Plant, we grab the shield there, and at this point, I think I might just let this move go through. I'm hoping I can just fully farm them down with my Steelix in time, but it doesn't look like it, and they do make it to yet another charge move. Can't really afford to shield my Steelix at such low health, so we come in with the Rhyperior, we get the Mudslap farm down, and they've got a Shadow Alola Ninetales in the back running Powder Snow. This is basically game over unless they've got Bastidon in the back. We're going to go for one extra Mudslap, go for the Superpower. This should be enough damage to take them out. But they've got a Cofagrigus in the back, so they will be able to very easily Shadow Claw, farm me down, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent. Into the final battle of this video, we see a Shadow Swampert in the lead. Very good lead matchup. A bit slow to swap out there as the opponent swaps into their Stunfisk. We respond with the Shadow Rhyperior, and the opponent's going to bait with a Rock Slide. I think when I was battling there, I did count, and that was maybe not enough for the Earthquake there, but it might have been a mistake, but it doesn't really matter. We can just double shield if we want to, go for the full Mudslap farm down, and come out with quite a lot of loaded energy. So the opponent comes back in with their Shadow Swampert. We're going to go for that Breaking Swipe straight away. This will be dealing very nice damage, debuffing their attack there, and we make it to yet another Breaking Swipe. Now, I'm actually going to try and snipe them with my Shadow Venusaur, but the opponent reads me. They come in with their Skarmory. Incredible play by the opponent, and now this isn't looking too good for us, as they will be able to fully air slash, farm me all the way down, and obviously that energy isn't going to go too much use against my Steelix, but that Swampert is absolutely loaded, so we've got to be very careful when we come in with the Shadow Steelix here. Honestly, I probably should come in straight away, but what I want to do is to be able to potentially swap and catch the move onto my Rhyperior, as I'm expecting them to swap out as soon as they possibly can, but that actually works out perfectly for me as we reach a Breaking Swipe. So we get off the charge move, we take out the Swampert, and now we can just fully Dragon Tail, farm down the opponent recognizing that, so they concede the match. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.